So just got to mount the camera VTX, put some props on it, throw some tune in it, and rock and roll. All right. All right, so how I mount the VTX. Plug this guy in. Grab more of our double-sided sticky tape. Alright, so we put a little piece of double-sided sticky tape on this. Again, it's just to provide a little bit of a cushion on the back of this when we mount it and zip tie it down. It's a little nicer on the components than just like jamming them against things. Plus it won't slide around this way. And then when I mount this, I want it to be kind of low on there. And what I'm going to do is I'll run this the connector for the antenna like on this side. I wrap it around the bottom here and run the antenna out this way. So, and then I'll put the zip tie on. If you go from the inside, you can put the zip tie portion on the inside. And I left myself enough wire here that I can zip tie the wires in on the back of it. And have a nice clean looking install when I'm done with one zip tie. Then we have this nice clean VTX install. The wires are kind of tucked out of the way. The VTX is stuck there. Like, I love it. The only wire that's like dangling up is the one that goes to your camera. Okay, and speaking of which, the camera. Okay, so yes, let's pop these front standoffs on, and then I'll show you how I mount the camera. And the way that I mount the camera, you can do all the way from 0 degrees tilt to 90 degrees tilt using this Runcam camera. So I really happy with that. And these are the M8 screws that we're using for the 4 of them that we're using for the standoffs here. Everything else is M6. You want to be careful when you do this. So, like I showed you, the wires like going to the side, right? You want to be careful not to pinch those wires when you do this. So I tuck mine behind there, which kind of protects them a little bit in a crash. There, so that wire's tucked back there. Should be able to push this guy in too. Alright, so we'll grab our top plate here out of our parts bag. So look at all these extra parts. Oh, and then these standoffs here are, or these mounts here are designed to go around these standoffs, and you can mount the micro camera or one of these cameras like that. But I like the way that I mount it, so I'm going to show you something a little bit different. Okay. So the way that I mount the Runcam, and I use the hardware that comes with it. Basically, they give you a little bag of hardware. So much nice stuff with Runcams, you know? I guess you kind of get what you pay for. They are a little bit more expensive. So let's dump this hardware bag out. Okay. So what we're going to use from this is we're going to use this bracket and 2 of these little screws, little plastic spacers they give you for them. We're going to use one of these flattened M3s and one of these lock nuts. Okay. So, are there new holes cut on this? No, there's not. Okay. So I take, so you can, let's see if we can see this. All right, let me put the other stuff back in the bag so that we're not have extra stuff all over the place. So this is the camera mount, right? And normally you'd think you'd mount it like this in there, right? That's the way it's kind of intended. And then you'd have your mount like this, and then you can tilt back and everything else, right? I actually turn mine around so that now this is front, right? And then when I mount it in there, I use this screw right here, the middle one, in that hole, and then I basically can adjust elevation back and forth, kind of like, but you get a little up and down, and you get like every camera angle that you can think of. So I'll show it to you in there. Let me put the screw through like that. So this side, the flat side, is going to go in here. You'll have a little screw sticking out the top. You can cut it down if you want, but it doesn't bother me. It kind of holds the strap in place. It's kind of a bonus feature. This is another trick. See, I start with a little bit turned, and then as I get the last bit of tight on it, it goes straight. There you go. So now it's lined up. Then we'll mount the camera in there. And again, middle hole on the camera, right here, just like that. And you have to use these little plastic spacers on there. They give it little plastic spacers on there. They give it a little bit of extra grip, but they, yeah, you need them, or the screws will bottom out. So, and they do give it a little bit of extra, like it does seem to grab better with those on there. So at first I was a little pissed off with RunCam for doing it that way, but then I realized, okay, the little plastic things like are grippy and they want you to use them, so kind of hold the camera a little bit better. So I haven't really tightened that, but yeah, still can't move it because they're super grippy, which is nice. Alright, so now you can see how I can kind of adjust the camera like all the way from full up tilt to straight level, right? So when I go level, instead of it sitting down here, I can push it back and up a little bit, which gives you the height to clear the board. So otherwise this is like this is kind of tight. Okay, so let's plug this in. Plug it in, put the top plate on. Alright, so you can see how there's not much space down there, but I can get all the way like near 90 degrees with it, which I don't know why you would, but you can. And then you can get near all the way to 0 with it. Probably, if I didn't mount this so close, I could get all the way to 0, but because it does need to go back a little bit more. I don't really care because I run camera tilt like that, but Larry might want a little less. We'll see. That's probably good for a beginner. That's like 25 degrees. Sorry, Larry, you're not a beginner, but that's probably what you like. So the other thing I'm noticing is I need to move these wires for the receiver off to the side here, or they're gonna get smashed. And if you want 0 degree tilt, which maybe you do for like the super beginner, you can use the longer spacers that are included in the kit. So the new kits actually come with just like straight up longer spacers. You don't need to do anything special. I'll give those to Larry, and he can choose what he wants to put in there. But I like the shorter. I like the looks of the shorter spacers. The whole thing. I like the way everything fits. Okay. So I'm just going to tighten this down where I want it. where Larry wants it. Alright, so let's mount the antenna. Okay, so I mount the antenna. So screw it in nice and tight down here. One of the things you don't want to be doing is like twisting on this cable a lot. You want to basically hold it tight, and I have a pair of pliers for this, right? I just crank that bad boy until it seats, and then just another, I don't know, 1/8 of a turn, maybe 1/4 turn. Doesn't have to be super tight, but you don't want it to come off. Yeah, okay. And you don't want to turn your antennas from like up here. You want to turn them from down here. Okay, so I'll take this antenna. I'll put my now that it's tight on there, I'll lay this side where I want it. I'll put my nice bend in here that I put on my antenna to make it come out the back like that. And then we'll zip tie this in place. Alright, and then I zip tie every one of these guys down. So I'll put a zip tie in the middle of these. And you don't want to crank these down. You just want enough to kind of like hold it from sliding back and forth. Alright, and you'll see a lot of guys, they'll electrical tape down their ESCs. I don't like that. I think it holds a lot of heat in, but electrical tape is a good method for holding them down. So what you'll see me do, let me zoom this out just a little bit. What you'll see me do is I'll cut a piece of electrical tape, and then I like to put it here on the ESC to kind of, so I use a zip tie and electrical tape. It's kind of, this kind of keeps the wires from getting into things. If the props get bent, it kind of keeps them a little bit out of the way, a little bit more protected, and it keeps your ESC in place. Like if the zip tie gets loose. So I'll do this on every single one of the arms, and that's it. This bad boy's built. Bet you thought I was going to forget these 2 screws. Everybody on there is like, you forgot those screws? No. So, I'm putting the last screws in. That's the whole thing. I'm leaving the props off for right now because the next part is plugging in for software and all the other stuff. And yeah, I know you want me to finish that in this video. I'm gonna do all the software setup in the next installment of this video. So the quad's built. I'm going to show you how to flash both the Icon ESCs and the Wraith ESCs, the new 32-bit ones, and set up Betaflight, the whole thing. So from the CLI file that I give you. So that's going to be the next part. But you know, that's it. Quad's built. I'm so excited to give this to Larry, who, you know, he's going to have a quad that's, you know, really solid, built by yours truly. Alright, well, thanks for watching. I know this was a really long, in-depth video. Hopefully you found all the soldering tips and everything else really helpful. And, you know, this has been a monumental effort to do. And hopefully you enjoy it. So, and hopefully a lot of people get use out of this build video. So don't forget to hit that. If you've seen to this far, like, damn it, you got to hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think I missed. All right. Love you guys. Hey everybody, so that this doesn't become a 4-hour segment, I'm going to break it up into playlists, and I will link in the previous one and the next one here so that it's a little bit easier for you to follow along. I appreciate you watching to this point in the video. Please continue watching, hit that like, subscribe button, and you know, leave your comments. Alright, love y'all.